Expressed on this program are those of the host, guest, and callers, and are not necessarily those of KKNW, its management, or other advertisers. This is Alternative Talk 1150.
Rebecca Callahan wants to help you find and live your unique happy, the kind of life you might have only dreamt about until now. This is Soulful Synchronicities, and here she is, Rebecca Callahan.
Well, yay. It's time again for Soulful Synchronicities. It's a show created to empower you. A show about self-love, love for others, and actually you being you and me being me. And just to tip you off, by the way, my guest is the person that kind of honed in that idea of you being you and me being me, and me sort of starting to create the show and what I wanted the foundation of the show to be. Should you have questions, comments, if you'd like to talk about coaching, or you just have some ideas for the show, I would love to hear from you. I'm at DJ Rebecca Callahan at Outlook.com, or you can actually PM me at Facebook. Just search Rebecca Callahan. And Eric, how are you?
Good afternoon.
Did you take any more films in from the film festival by chance since that last Wednesday?
Yeah, no, I didn't get a chance to over the Memorial Day weekend, which is what I had planned to do, unfortunately.
Aww.
But I'm going to check something out tonight, so I'm looking
good.
forward to that.
What are you going to?
I may be mistaken on the title, but I believe it's called The Long Dumb Road, which is got Jason Mantzoukas, who's a very funny guy, and also I'm blanking on his name, but did you see the Grand Budapest Hotel?
I did not.
Oh, okay. That's a great movie. And then one of the leads in that is also in this movie. So it should be a pretty funny comedy.
Do you know what theater that's going to be?
That's going to be at the Egyptian.
And once again, how does one, what is it, SIFT.com?
SIFT.net.
SIFT.net.
Yeah.
S-I-F-T?
SIFF.net.
Oh, I'm so glad I asked. Yeah,
a lot of fun,
that sounds like
and
fun.
still going on till June 10th, I think, is the last day of the festival. So worth checking out for sure.
Did you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend then?
I did. It was very laid back and relaxed. Recorded with the band, so that was a lot of fun. So,
oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I keep asking you about that, and no, he's still away. The band member's still away, but good. I'm so glad to hear that.
How was your weekend?
It was fantastic. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Any specifics that you got up to?
You know, I'm thinking.
See, being put on the spot.
I know
hard,
my guest went to a barbecue and to something else, but yeah. No, I can't think. Oh, you did it to me. I usually do that to you.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's what I'm saying. It seems like it should just flow freely,
that.
but sometimes, someone asks you about you and like suddenly you blink.
It's like blah. Yeah.
Happens to me all the time.
Well, my guest is an all-around great guy. I just love being around this guy. I would like to introduce you to Chris Schumacher. Welcome to Soulful Synchronicities, Chris.
Thank you.
Nice
Glad to be here.
have
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah.
Did you have a good barbecue?
Oh, it was
the other
great.
day?
Yeah. I go to I went to my girlfriend's her grandparents' house for a barbecue, and they have a huge family, and so I took it upon myself to really focus on getting all their names correct,
right?
And memorizing
Did
all
you
of them.
do it?
I felt like I did. Oh,
so, you got A+++?
Yeah, one of the aunts told me I did a great job with the
good.
names, so I feel
well,
good
it was
stepping
important
away.
to you.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Well, though you were related to a couple of people I know well, I just recently had the pleasure to get to know you, and I was over at your place after your mom and your sis. We went to a Boskeg's Michael McDonald concert.
Right. Yeah.
And came back, and you were home. And one of the first things you asked me was, would you like some pancakes? And so you fixed me banana pancakes. It was a cool night. It was just, you treated me so well. And then I knew that you had just gone to Sedona.
Right.
And you had an awesome, and I don't say that word lightly, but experience with getting a Native American flute.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah.
Time stood still for a little bit, right?
It really did. It really did. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it was one of those instruments I've always been drawn to ever since I was a little kid. I remember being in elementary school, and this Native American, like we had like a ceremony, and there was a gentleman that came in and brought all these flutes and drums, and I remember being so drawn to the sound of the flute. And
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's so peaceful.
When it's wooden, it's like, I mean, I love the flute, just a silver woodwind. You know, I grew up playing that in school.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But the Native American flute, it's like amazing.
Yeah, it was great. And so when I was in Sedona, I was at had this really cool, like, spiritual, like, walk and went on this, like, meditative, like, experience with this local there. And when we were meditating, like, the Native American flute, like, came to me. It was really interesting.
Wow.
And it just was like, that's what I need to do. I need to get a flute. And so the next day I was walking around Sedona downtown, and I went to a couple shops, and I found a couple, like, toy wooden flutes, but nothing really substantial. And then I found this flute shop, and I went in, and there was this little old Japanese lady in there, and she was talking, and she's like, selling flutes, and we were talking back and forth, and she was so passionate about it, just so passionate. She was really good too, and
passionate
she was
like you.
But yeah, and she kept handing me flutes, like, try this one, and then she handed me one, and then I started playing it, and she was like, whoa, like you're really good, and like this is the one for you. And like, as they say, like, you don't choose the flute chooses you. So I ended up walking away with it. It was like that type of purchase where it's like, it doesn't matter how much money it is, just take it and I'll get going. And I remember just like, I have to play this. So I remember where I was like in the car and we were driving and I was trying to play it. And then we went down to these like waterfall area and with my family, and I was playing it all down there. But yeah, it's been a great instrument to me. It's only been playing it for about a year.
And she showed you how to play it.
Yeah,
even,
she did.
Right?
Yeah, she gave me
it's like nobody was in the shop.
It was just us.
Time.
Yeah. She
so
just
cool.
She really showed me a couple things and gave me a little notes chart, and and she was like, you just need to play from your heart though. And I was like, that's great. So.
And you do. I can verify that. And we are going to hear that flute just a little bit later in the show. But you have formed a brand new company, and the name of it is
Cascade Trekking Company.
Yeah. And we are going to come back to that. Chris is going to tell you about Cascade Trekking Company. I bet it feels kind of good to say it.
Oh, just
say the name of it.
Cascade Trekking Company.
And Backpacking 101 and a special free event coming up. But I would like you to tell me a story that you first told me back on Thanksgiving. And it happened maybe a month or two or something before that. Happened at your work. Please tell me. It's about meeting somebody that was very special to you and a celebrity as well. But tell us the story.
Yeah. So when I was working at REI back in last fall, and we were preparing for a big sale, and I was in the back working on something, and I got a page over the radio saying, "Can we have someone come to binoculars? We need assistance in binoculars." And no one was responding, so I was like, all right, well, I can be there. So I was, walked outside and walked over to the binoculars fixture, and I see a gentleman standing there, and he's wearing a baseball cap. He's looking down, looking at the binoculars.
Glasses on, dark glasses on?
I think.
Or glasses?
No, he wasn't wearing glasses. No,
okay.
I don't think he was. Yeah, he was just wearing a hat and kind of covering his eyes a little bit. And I go up to him and I say, "Hey, how's it going?" And he looks at me and he says, "Oh, good, doing well." Very unique voice. And I was like, I know that voice. And I saw him and I didn't immediately recognize him, but I knew him, which was weird. And I started talking to him because and I was trying to spit out my words. And I was like, "So what are you looking for?" "I'm looking for binoculars for this." And he was saying, "I'm going to Africa with my family, and I'm looking for some binoculars." And I was, right then when he was saying that, it just kind of overcame me, and I was like, "I know who you are." And I started to get really, really nervous, like shaking.
Shaking.
Yeah. And I look at him and I say, "Can we stop for a minute?" And he looks at me, and he's, he looks at me, and I said, "Are you Eddie Vedder?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Eddie Vedder.
So, all of a sudden I'm just, like starstruck. Like, here's someone that had a huge musical influence on me when I was, in my teenage years. And, I listened to him all the time, and not just Pearl Jam, but his like solo stuff, Into the Wild, his ukulele album. And I was like, my gosh, this guy is like, of all musicians to me, this would be like the one, to me.
I didn't know he had a ukulele album.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, it's
That's
really
cool.
good. It's really good.
Cool.
And so then we get back to the binoculars, and I'm, trying to sell it to him. But when I'm doing this, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Like, literally all my knowledge of binoculars just flies out the window.
Do you know what binoculars
I'm just like,
are?
I'm like shaking. I'm like just giving him random ones, trying to figure it out. And I'm handing him one or two. And, he's like, well, I really like these ones. And he says, do you have 4 of them? So I'm like, oh, let me go check. And so I'm running back to our warehouse to check. And I'm just, praying to God, like, please, inventory gods, today, make sure I have 4 of these binoculars for Eddie Vedder. Just like the one time I need product, please be there. Mm-hmm. And so I walk back there. I'm looking for the binocular, and we don't have it. I'm like, oh, shoot. So I grab one that we do have, and I'm going to sell him on it. And so I walk back and go up to him, and I say, well, sorry, Eddie, I don't actually have that one that you want. And he has a different pair in his hand, which happens to be the pair that I brought out to him. He's like, well, actually, I like these ones more. I'm like, great, I have all 4 of them. Take them. And then so I gave them to him. And at that point, I think his wife and his little girl came by, and we were kind of just chatting. And then
did you say something about your girlfriend about
yeah,
that
and
point?
so and then Eddie asked me about GoPros, and we walk around the corner, and I'm talking about GoPros, and he's like, which one's the best one? And I'm
The
like,
video camera.
Yeah, the video camera, GoPro, and I grab him, the best one, and he's like, great, I'll take that one. And then I was so nervous, I grabbed a box for a spare battery. I'm like, you probably will need this too. And then I go to open it for some reason, and I tear the box because I was just so nervous. I was like, and he looks at me, and he's just like, oh, it's all right, man. Don't worry about it. Like, I'll take it anyway. And I'm like, no, you're Eddie Vedder. Like, I'm not going to get it. But, and then, we were kind of wrapping up with that. And I said to him, I was like, if my girlfriend were here, like, she'd be, freaking out right now. Like, I mean, we just love you. And right when I said that, his wife stepped in and was like, well, he's all mine or something, grabs him, and they're just really cute together. I mean, you can just tell they're just so in love, and just their connection.
Mm-hmm.
It was really neat just watching them as a couple. I was really, really
I think she
intrigued.
gave him a smooch, right?
Yeah, she gave him a smooch too. And I was just like dying, like, oh my gosh, like, can I get one of those?
What a moment.
I know. So, and then, at the time I was like, man, I should like get his photo or something, thinking to myself, and, it'd be super cool to walk away with like a photo. But then I was like, you know what? I don't want to be that guy. And so I just wanted to say something to him. And, when we were wrapping up, I said, listen, Eddie, like, I just want to thank you so much for just you being you and the music you play. And it's really been there for me. And just never stop playing. Never stop playing your music, because it's inspiring so many people and encouraging them to be themselves. And, so just thank you. And that's all I really wanted to say, in the end of the day, is just thank you and what it really meant to me. And
He's been there in the ups and the downs of your life.
Yeah, and he's been there through me, through the ups and the downs, all through middle school and high school, but we all have those.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and so I walked away, and then he was really touched by that, and then he reached into his pocket, and he pulled out a couple of guitar picks, and he says, well, I used these at my last concert at Fenley, or sorry, what's not Fenley, is it the baseball stadium in Boston? They had a concert. I should know this, but Wrigley Stadium.
Wrigley.
Yeah. Penley. I don't know where I got that from.
Wrigley gum.
Wrigley. Yeah. So, and I was just super touched by that. And that was just a really cool moment. And I gave a couple away. And to
Yeah, I
other
loved that you
fans.
paid it forward too.
You know, and the thing is that it's not, you get these, you can acquire things, physically, like these pics and such, and they like meant a lot for sure, but nothing meant more to me than to just meet him.
Absolutely.
And
And
just
tell him, share
and just share
your
to
truth.
yeah,
with him.
and that's all I wanted to do, and I'm so glad that was like, so glad I got to say that. And so we ended up parting ways and everything, and we I went back to binoculars to close up the shop, and I look back, and all of my binoculars are scattered everywhere, just super unorganized because I was so
I have a
nervous.
visual
Things were in
of that.
different boxes, and it was just they're everywhere. But yeah, it was just a really cool experience to
That is a
to
cool
meet
experience.
him. But
I'm so glad you told him that.
yeah,
And he got it. He really got it. He understood,
yeah,
as you said,
yeah.
then he reached into his pocket after after the moment.
Yeah, and leaving that situation, it's nothing like someone that you've admired for so long, just seeing how
Mhm.
genuine they are. Oh, I mean, he was just so much himself and just so genuine and authentic, and and I think for someone who's in the spotlight, that can be kind of hard to do, and
Yeah.
not make a scene of himself either. He was just another guy, just looking for binoculars. That's all he was, and that's all he wanted to be. And I really admire him as a person after that, even more now, just knowing how genuine and authentic he is, and his whole family. So it was a really cool experience. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we are going to take a break real quick, and we will be talking about his new company, Cascade Trekking Company, and he does personalized and very educational backpacking trips. We're going to talk about the Leave No Trace ethics and 7 principles that go along with that. And we will be right back on 1150 KKNW. I'm Rebecca Callahan, and my guest today, Chris Schumacher.
Imagine being denied an apartment because of housing discrimination.
It's so wrong.
But who has the power to stop this?
You do. The law is on your side. If you've been discriminated against because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status, file a complaint with HUD. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
Visit HUD.gov/fair housing, a public service message from HUD and the National Fair Housing Alliance.
I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but Miss Araceli, she gave me direction.
At age 47, Marco finished his high school diploma.
50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
On the path to good health and well-being, Alternative Talk 1150 is the station for you.
The show is Soulful Synchronicities, always heartfelt with an electric feel. Now your host, Rebecca Callahan.
So this is a man I know that is extremely in touch with his inner child. This company helps him bring out his inner child. And he also has a wonderful way of doing that for other people. When I was with him on Thanksgiving, I walked away feeling much more in touch with my inner child as well, which is something that's really important. So, Chris, you give educational, personalized backpacking trips with Cascade Trekking Company, right?
Yeah, correct.
Tell us more about that.
So,
and how you
yeah.
were as a kid, because I think that's important.
Yeah, well, I'll kind of start off when I was like a child, and then we'll kind of get into it nowadays. But when I was a kid, I grew up with like 5 acres, 6 acres of woods all around my house, and I thank my parents every single day for giving me such a privilege because, in the summer and the spring, I would always run off into the woods with my friend or with my my border collie, my dog Max, and stepping into the woods as a kid is a lot like sitting behind a car for the first time when you're 16, where you can go anywhere, do anything. And that's how I felt as a kid. And I used to just go into the woods and just wander around and build forts and, and just I'd be out there for hours all day. And I really found a lot of peace there. And it really inspired me to work and live in a life outdoors.
And you'd lie in the grass and you just, like you described the other day, that just walking, the breeze on your face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just, I really feel most myself and most in tune with myself when I'm able to just walk in the woods on like a pathless path and just, feel the brush pass me by and, just be present and
explore.
Just explore. And I remember when I was a kid, one time I was out in the woods laying by myself, just like a pile of leaves or something. I remember my dad calling my name like it's time to go for soccer practice. And I remember just thinking to myself, I don't want to go to soccer practice. Like I just want to lay here and just be in the woods. But yeah, and still to this day, I'm able to carry that with me. And like when I'm out backpacking or out being outside or taking trips out, some of my favorite moments are just me by myself walking through the woods, just wandering. If it's like just going to the restroom and having a walk through the woods, just being there and being present with it. It really does a lot for you, I think.
You've had to love so much of it all your life that you have become an expert on backpacking and the outdoors.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, I started guiding and doing trips back in 2013. And so
I didn't know that.
I left college and I dropped out of college. I just, I was really unhappy there. And I just was like, this isn't for me. This just isn't for me. And I'm just not happy. And the one thing that it makes me happy is being outside. So I left college and I got a job working, out in at a kayak rental shop, and then eventually they let me lead some trips with them, and then eventually got a job with REI. And I remember teaching my first in-store class there, and I remember stepping away from that thinking, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to teach, and I'm supposed to be outside. And so I remember going to my manager saying, how do I get outside and work? I want to teach and do this. And they said, well, you need 2 years of guide guide experience. So I said, well, I'm going to go get that. So I put in my notice and I went out to moved out to Colorado to Steamboat Springs and worked on a guest ranch out there called Vista Verde Ranch. And and I worked as a mountain biking guide and hiking and backcountry. We did backcountry ski and snowshoe tours. So I did that for about 2 years.
I remember they talked about your family when you were away, and just like how happy you were doing that kind of thing, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. So
and you met some people.
Yeah.
Like Kyle.
Yeah.
Was one of them.
Well, so I met him back in Redmond. So after I was done working in Colorado, I met my girlfriend's cousin Kyle, who has been a big influence on the company, and we'll talk about more him in a bit here. But he also worked at the same guest ranch, which is just super weird.
Oh, not at the same time.
Not at the same time.
I had not put that together.
He worked there a couple years before me.
That's why I brought him in.
And so when I came back and I was, I met Linda, my girlfriend, and I was at a family dinner, and we made that connection. Or actually, I think Linda even said prior, I think my cousin worked at that guest ranch or something. And then, we ended up making that connection. And it was so funny. It's just like, what a small world.
It is.
Yeah, it was so weird. So, yeah, I've always worked outside, and I've been working as an instructor with REI, and it's just been great. So, but that really kind of put me on my trajectory to starting my own business.
And there are a lot of people that are thinking about starting a company, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And there's some fear and trepidation there. And you had some of that as well.
Yeah.
And you had a couple conversations with this man I brought into the conversation, Kyle.
Yeah. It was really, it was kind of funny, but Linda and Kyle both have just been absolutely huge influences on me. And I remember Linda, she called me up, or we were she woke me up one morning and she says, you got to look at this. You got to look at this. And she was showing me her phone, and on Airbnb, where you can like rent your house, they have a page where you can go on experiences, and people were charging, $150, $100 to take people up Rattlesnake Ledge, just like really easy hikes just around here. And I was thinking, wow. And Linda's like, you should do this. Why can't you do this? And I really thought about that. And Linda, I mean, she's always seen the best in me. And it's kind of funny because sometimes you might not see your greatest potential. And
of course. Sometimes
you just need someone else to say it for you. And
absolutely.
And like Linda was totally just, like, why aren't you doing this? She was almost like playing it like that. Like, why can't you just do this? And so I really gave it some thought. And she's like, well, you should talk to Kyle, because Kyle's like, he's like the kind of person that's got incredible ideas, and he does. He's an incredible man, and I really envy him. And as a person,
knowledgeable, inspirational.
Yeah, and so I was sitting at a bar for Linda's brother's birthday, and I started talking with Kyle, and we were going back and forth about this idea about starting my own business, about doing leading trips, and he was just getting me so fired up, just like nothing can stop me.
Because he said that you're an expert on this. You know your stuff, right?
Totally, yeah.
That's one part of it.
That's one part of it. And the business side, too. He's so business-minded and so smart when it comes to the business side of things. And he, is saying, like, listen, like, people are willing to pay you this much money. Like, how much do you make at your current job? And, like, you got to do this, you got to do that. This is how much you can make. These are your, just going off on it. And I'm sitting there, my mind's just blown. Like, he's like, you can do this yourself. You don't need to you don't need to work for anybody. You have the knowledge, you have the skill set.
And you have the love.
And you have the
for
love.
It as well.
And you just got to go for it.
Now, he said something interesting, too, about risk-taking that I found extremely interesting, what you sort of reminded me of with the Great Depression correlation.
Yeah. So,
because a lot of people are thinking this.
Yeah, for sure. And, and it was so funny. So I called Kyle up. Well, I actually called my dad up right before I called Kyle, and I was like, Dad, like, deciding, if I should, really do this company, here's what I'm facing. It's really either I'm all in or I'm not. And my dad's like, well, my dad is also a very business-minded person as well, and has a huge influence on me, and he's had a business for like 20 years, and so he's a huge influence on me. And I called him up, and he's like, well, maybe you should look at, maybe taking a year and really, just focusing on like the underpinnings of like, figuring out where you're going to go, and just, taking another year before you start it. And, it was great. And like, it was great advice. But that's not what I really wanted to hear. And so I called Kyle up and I was like, Kyle, this is what I'm facing. And I remember I said, I think I'm going to take this next year and not do it, and just, just kind of see things out and get things going. And I remember he took this long pause. There was this long silence before he said anything. And he just said, look, man, like, it's either all in or nothing. Like, you have to think about it this way. Like, how much money are you going to be making? Like, this is like what you could be potentially making. And he says, look, you have to look at it. Remember this, that, your parents had parents who grew up through the Great Depression, and they were taught not to take risks, because that's,
true.
It was scarce. Money was scarce, and
they had lived through the scariest of financial times.
Yeah, and it's not their fault, right? But your parents also had an influence on that as well, saying, don't take big risks, don't put all your monies in one jar and give it some, be scarce, put away 10% of your paycheck, all those tips that you get. But Kyle just said, you just got to go for it. Just go all. You got nothing to lose. I mean, you're 24 years old. What do you have to lose? You got nothing to tie you down. And when he said that, like, boy, that just shifted everything. Once he said that, and just thinking about the big picture of things, of where am I getting my influences from? Because my influence is really striving this business forward. And
your heart and soul said something else. Said leap.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Just jump.
Because I jumped and I leaped. Like this last September, I moved from Wenatchee back to Seattle.
Yeah.
And I felt really strongly about it. And I really, I kind of felt I had nothing to lose in a way to to where I just had to do it. I just had this drive to do it.
Yeah.
And you did that
Yeah.
with Cascade Trucking Company. And I'm so excited for you and the
Yeah.
possibilities.
Thank
And
you.
hey, can we talk about this is kind of totally related, but can you educate us about the leave no trace ethics, the 7 principles,
Yeah.
and how you feel about all that?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that I'm just really passionate about is, and that the Cascade Trucking Company is really passionate about too, is preserving our lands. You know, with the hiking growth has doubled since 2008.
Has it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
As far as the U.S. Forest Service did a survey of how many discovery passes people have bought since now in 2008, and it's just about doubled. So
Yeah.
more and more people are going out to trails. With that, there's more and more impact.
Yeah.
You know, and especially in the next 20 years, you know, how much more impact is going to happen. But with the growing suburbia and with Seattle growing, more and more people are making their way towards the mountains. And, you know, not necessarily people just aren't as educated on how to enter the wilderness and how to leave the wilderness without leaving a big impact to help preserve it.
Yeah.
So Cascade Trekking Company, one thing that I really want to make it is, and one thing that we do is that we travel in small group sizes, because it's important that if we're going to go in and enjoy the wilderness, that we don't leave a big impact, and we teach people how not to leave an impact with every single one of our trips.
Education is imperative.
It's imperative because these people are our future, and they need to pass it on as well, and they need to be aware.
And their kids and their
yeah.
kids and all that.
Exactly.
You know, we want that for them.
For sure. So, you know.
What are those 7?
Yeah. So the 7 principles are a list of principles made by Leave No Trace. I think they're based out of Colorado. But the first one is plan and prepare. So knowing how to plan and prepare wisely and making all the proper preparations beforehand, knowing where you're going, what permits you need, the weather. So then if you're not stuck out somewhere and you get hypothermia. So planning and preparing, traveling on durable surfaces as well. So traveling on, designated trails, not switching switchbacks, just being really smart about where you're traveling, and camping on durable surfaces, camping in marked locations that are designated campsites in the backcountry, rather than, just taking your tent and opening it up on, a beautiful,
any old place
like a meadow or over some flowers. Be smart. You want to leave the wilderness as if you found it, which leaves our next one, which is leave what you find. Don't take anything with you, leave everything you find. And then there's dispose of waste properly. So knowing how to go to the bathroom in the woods, which we talk about in all of our classes, how to go to the bathroom, which is a huge question and it's a huge impact.
Yeah.
So we talk about how to do that, and then how to dispose of our, our dish waste whenever we're done making our food. What else? Being considerate of others and the other people in the wilderness. Respecting wildlife's a big one, making sure that we're protecting our food. That's a big part of it. We're protecting our food to prevent from critters and bears to come in our campsite and eating our food. And, that's not good for them too, and just being considerate of all the wildlife and the nature around us. And then our last one is minimize campfire impact. So if we're going to make a fire, is it a area where you even can make a fire, and how do you make a fire to reduce impact? And when you're done making a fire, make it look like no one has been there before. So,
and these backpacking trips, all through it, you're educating that group, that small group. And what's the amount of the up to how many people?
About 6. And then so I really try, so like we could do like 3 couples or, but I really like to keep it under 6, anything more than that, I'm going to put you on a different trip, because it's, it's what Cascade is passionate about. We want to preserve our lands, and we're going to practice that. We could easily get 2 guides or 3 guides and do a big trip, but that's not who we are. We're about, teaching these ethics and help preserving our lands, because that's what's important, and that's what we want to see in the next 100 years. And we need other people to, get on board with it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they don't have equipment, when they get with you with Cascade Trucking Company, you have the equipment. They don't have to purchase the equipment. they purchase the trip with
Mm-hmm.
you, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and the education comes along with it
Mm-hmm.
because it's so important.
Yeah.
And they're actually, I wanted you to be able to tell about the romantic couples thing that you
Sure.
do. What's involved in that?
Sure. Well, yeah, to back up really quick, but
Yeah.
about the gear, yeah, if anybody is wanting to take a trip,
Yeah.
but is like, I don't have the gear, just we can provide everything. We have backpacks ready to go with trekking poles, sleeping bags, sleeping bag, tent, everything you would need. You just need to bring your clothes. So if someone's like,
Yeah.
well, I want to try it, but I don't know if I want to necessarily, drop $1,500 at
Sure.
REI or $2,000
Yeah.
to get the average,
All that
all
stuff.
that stuff. We can provide that, and then you can make that decision later on.
Yeah.
So just know that we can provide the gear if that is what you need.
Mhm.
And then so Cascade, we're kind of split up into two things. We do educational backpacking trips. So we have a backpacking 101 course, which is our intro class. So people that have never backpacked before or are thinking about getting into it, we go out and we teach you everything from how to plan and prepare to how to hang a bear bag, how to set up camp, how to stay warm at night, how to cook in the backcountry, everything you would need to know to pull off a successful backpacking trip.
How
we
lengthy
cover.
is that trip, by the
So
way? I didn't ask before.
So that's just an overnighter. So it's
Okay.
actually a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We
Mhm.
meet Friday, and we
Mhm.
actually do just a 2-hour session at like a coffee shop where
What's going to happen?
what's
going to
happen. We talk about how to plan and prepare. And I'll have you bring your backpack.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about how to pack your backpack, and we're going to divvy up the gear so we're not double packing anything. We're
Sure.
going to talk about how to actually execute a backpacking trip as if we
Yeah.
were in a big group. And then the next day we'll go out to the trailhead. We'll meet up the next day, and then we can carpool out there together, and then we will hike in, spend the night, and then hike out the next day.
Nice.
So we have our 101 course and then our backpacking 201 course, which is our more advanced class.
Yeah.
So that one is going to be more if you are wanting to understand more leadership in the backcountry. So if you're someone who's like, well, I want to start leading more backpacking trips and
Yeah.
kind of understand leadership and group dynamics, then this is the course for you because we cover everything from mapping compass. So everything that you can do on a GPS, you can do with a mapping compass, and I'll teach you that. So you can, navigate in the fog. If you get lost, you can triangulate yourself. You can set bearings. So, everything you would need to know with a mapping compass, that will be taught. And then we talk about gear repair. We talk about some first aid basics, how to deal with wet clothing, backpacking in the rain. So those just more next level things, like how to, knots and everything we'll cover. And so it's really, a cool, if you've been backpacking before and you're like, I really want to learn like the hard skills, more of those, skills, well then sign up for the 201 course.
Yeah.
And then we also have our 101 and 201 course bundle. So it's both the courses combined into one trip. So if you want,
nice.
it's a 2-day, 3-nighter. So,
Mm.
3-night, 2-day. Wait, no, 3-day, 2-night. Sorry, 3-day,
Okay.
2-night.
Okay.
So that's our more educational side. And then
Yeah.
we also have our couples experience. So
Tell me.
yeah. So if you are somebody who is looking for a romantic date idea or, is flying in and wants to, do, something special,
Yeah.
and just not stay at a hotel, well, then come, sign up for our couples experience. And then I can take you and your significant other out. And basically what we do is I, provide all the gear. And then we'll hike out, and then I'll set up, your tent for you, set up a hammock for you to eat your lunch, and then,
Wow.
spend time with your honey.
Yeah.
And then we'll set up a tent. I'll cook the food.
Oh, you do that too?
Yeah,
A romantic dinner.
a romantic dinner. So
Oh. Now, so do you have some parameters on? Do you have a basic menu, or what do you do?
well, I do have some of my personal favorites, which
Mhm.
I love to suggest. I do really like doing pastas.
You have a particular pasta dish? that's-
Yes, it's an Italian dish called aglio di olio. It's an Italian
Oh,
dish. It's a
nice.
it's like olive oil and garlic and like parsley and it's super good. Like it's one of my go-to
Mm.
favorites. So it's a really romantic pasta.
Yeah.
And then and then we also, if someone has like a special meal request,
Yeah.
like hey, like our favorite thing is like sushi. Like let me know. and I can make it work, because that's the personalization thing. We want to take that next level and take you and do that +1 where we just do that one extra thing to make it really special. So if you have anything at your request, let us know. But you'll eat your dinner under under some candle light under the stars.
Wow.
And you'll have be able to go back to your tent, and my tent's going to be further away. Don't worry.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. And you have partnered up with a great new company as well, and you have a free event planned. And the company is The Collective, downtown Seattle on Dexter Avenue. And that event is coming up June 26th.
Yes. So
what day of the week is that? Do you know offhand?
I think it's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I should know that.
6 to 7:30.
Yep, 6 to 7:30. So we're going to be doing a free event at The Collective. The Collective is a really cool community. They're a brand new company as well. They have like a bar and restaurant in one room and like a live stage. And then the other room, they have like these hammock, room things and like a rock wall. And they're a really cool community base. They're all about community, which I'm really inspired by.
Yeah.
And they're just a fantastic.
You are all about community as well.
And so, expanding their community and expanding my community.
Yeah.
So on June 26th, I'm going to be hosting and teaching a sort of a in-class or like an in-store class sort of, where we would be talking everything about introduction to backpacking. So basically,
you'll get to meet this guy face to face.
Yeah, meet me face to face, and then we're gonna do like a PowerPoint and do different demonstrations with stoves and water filters. And then
you'll learn a lot just going to that class.
Yeah, we're talking everything.
To that event.
Yeah, it's just everything we need to know about backpacking in an hour and a half, and then we'll talk about our backpacking 101 course, and that would be the next step for you after that taking that in-store class. So we'll be talking a lot about that. And
sounds like 7:30 you'll have Q&A too.
Yeah, we'll do a Q&A as well. So if you have any questions on backpacking or on any hiking or whatever it might be, then come on down and be more than happy to answer those questions.
And a main place that you're going to be hiking is the Alpine, right?
Yeah, in the Alpine Lake Wilderness. We'll be out in different locations throughout there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Fantastic. And we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with Chris Schumacher, my guest from Cascade Trekking Company, with 2 Ks in there. Trekking, 2 Ks. I'm Rebecca Callahan. This is Soulful Synchronicities on 1150 KKNW Alternative Talk.
To buy your home, you became a house hunting ace, learned about loans, scoured neighborhoods, and asked the right questions. Now you're queen of your castle. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you will feel empowered to own your retirement like you own your home. Go to aceyourretirement.org. Because when it comes to clearing financial hurdles, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom now.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing. That's why AARP gives you the information to provide even better care for your loved one. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Bringing good vibes to the Puget Sound and the world. Alternative Talk 1150.
You're listening to Soulful Synchronicities. Rebecca's job, as she sees it, is simply helping to bring out the brilliance and magic that is you. It's heartfelt with an electric feel. Here's Rebecca Callahan.
Yes, and my guest next week will be Bonnie Cannon, and we will talk about a few different things. Also, another thing coming up, Saturday, June 30th, 11 to 4:30 at the studio in Carnation. If you haven't checked this place out, oh, wow. Chelsea, the owner, is quite the person. She's amazing. But this Health and Healing Festival is happening once again, June 30th, Saturday, 11 to 4:30 And you can contact Paulette Evans, a name you know, 206-940-4192. You can email her, Paulette, at pevans@lwsd.org. I have been to her retreats. This is one, and they're filled with growth if you want some spiritual growth, which many of us do, huh? A health and healing festival, Saturday, June 30th, 11 to 4:30 p.m. And Bonnie Cannon, my guest, next week. Now, I want you to tell everybody how to get a hold of you for these trips.
Yeah, for sure. Well, on the last event with that Paulette Evans is doing, I really recommend going. Paulette Evans is a great woman. I've known her practically my whole life. She did give birth to me.
Practically, huh?
So I guess practically. That's like most of my life.
Probably
yeah,
all.
Being my mother.
Every second, yes.
Yeah. So definitely go to that. That's she's an incredible woman, an incredible healer. Go up and introduce yourself. I'm sure she would just love to meet you. So
yeah. And I'm going to throw in that Katie Drew, another one of my guests, show 4. She is your sis.
She's my sis.
So yeah, Paulette's mom to that one as well. So
and
she's a great lady. You can imagine that, I would think.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have her as a guest prior to that as well. So
cool.
Yeah. So how do they get a hold of you?
So if anyone's looking into wanting to book one of these trips, go to cascadetrekking.com. So www.cascadetrekking.com. Thank you. Yeah.
TREKKING.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we also have an Instagram. Like and follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram is just Cascade Trekking Co. If you just type that in on the search bar, give us a follow. We're also on Facebook as well. So we post information about our trips and updates on Facebook as well. So go ahead and like us on Facebook. We would really appreciate it. But if you want to register for a class, go to cascadetrekking.com. You can find out all the information on our Backpacking 101 course, our 201 course, our couples experiences.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions at all, please just email me. You can email me at chris@cascadetrekking.com. And my contact is at the bottom of my website. So if you have any questions about any of our trips or anything, just shoot me an email. I'd be more than happy to answer. If you have any requests, let me know. So I'm really
CHRIS, right?
CHRIS. So yeah.
And once again, because we'll do it at the end as well, but a free event happening June 26th, 6 to 7:30 at
the Collective. So please come. It will be an incredible night full of knowledge and fun. So
yeah,
would love to have anybody who's interested in backpacking come on down. This is your chance to get a free event and just really dive into it, and we'll have all your questions be met. So
yeah, and you'll get to meet this guy. This guy has quite a great feel to him. He's just an amazing soul. I really enjoy being around you. So yeah, and I do believe that we have plenty of time for you to play your Native American flute, as I had promised.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we'll give you some contact information and talk a little more probably after that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sweet.
You ready?
Yeah. Well, and I really just want to say too, if if anybody is wanting to start their own business, I think you can agree, just go for it. Or whatever it might be. The importance of just jumping.
Time to jump.
It's just that time, and just
tie into your heart space.
Yeah.
And what is your heart space saying?
Yeah.
Because I know what yours said and what mine said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Make banana pancakes and just go for it.
Really important stuff.
Really important stuff. So whoever is curious about it or just wanting to consider it, just go for it. And I just put yourself and wrap yourself with the people around you that encourage you and light that fire within you. Like for me, it was Linda, it was Kyle, it was my parents, it's been my sister and my brother, and all the people, Matt from work, all these people just really ignite this fire within me. And so I really just want to say thank you to those people, and just thank you. And I'd like to dedicate this song to them. So
I like that.
Yeah. Okay, well, I've never actually played the flute publicly before. This is my first time, so, and it's on a radio, so
It's going to be a treat.
It's gonna be interesting. That's what it's gonna be.
In fact, it is your new valuable thing that you add to your backpack, by the way, right?
Yeah. So this is my 10th essential, or my 11th essential.
Thank you, 11th essential.
My 11th essential is the
Yeah.
Native American flute. So if you're going to be going on one of my trips, you might be serenaded by a little Native American flute in the evening time. Don't be surprised.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, that speaks to my heart every time, Chris. Oh, that's amazing. Now, remember when you're looking up Cascade Trekking Company? Wow, that was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. And to be able to have that on a backpacking trip, too. Ooh, yeah, on one of those.
Sitting in a tent or just sitting outside.
Yeah.
Sunset, Native
hammock.
American flute in your hammock. With your lover, with the Native American flute in the background, with some backcountry cooked meals. Cascade Trekking Company, we'll make it happen for you.
And with you, because you just are someone to be experienced. I really, yeah, he's a very soulful guy. So once again, that free event is important. And 2Ks in trekking, if you look up his site, Cascade Trekking Company.com.
Yeah, it's actually just cascadetrekking.com.
Oh, okay.
Just Cascade Trekking.
Let's do that again.
Yeah, so website, if you want to register or find out any more information, www.cascadetrekking.com.
Okay. Okay, great. And your email is on there. Your phone number is on there as well. And that free event is coming up June 26th. 6 to 7:30 at
The Collective.
The Collective, and that is downtown Seattle. And so that's going to be a lot of fun and a great time to ask your questions. And I'll try to mention that in future weeks prior to that event as well. Yeah. So it was so nice to have you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Rebecca.
Yeah, and thank you for telling your story about meeting, one of your idols.
Yeah.
And one of those very special people in your life, and the other special people, telling us about them and the Native American flute. Oh, and it's a great chance to get out there and explore with Chris and Cascade Trucking Company. So I hope that you get in touch with him and go to that free event as well. I will be with Bonnie Cannon next week, and I will share that subject matter then. Yes. But I'm Rebecca Callahan. Thank you for listening another week, and enjoy the rest of this day and the rest of your week, your short week this time around. And I will see you next week. Talk to you next week on 1150 KKNW Alternative Talk. See ya.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host, guest, and